I'm Chris Beachum, managing editor of Gold Derby, here with Joanne Froggatt, star of Downton Abbey, A New Era, the latest film now featured in movie theaters. Tell me on Anna Bates, when you go back to play her after a time away, what do you do to get into that mindset again?
I'd like to say that I have to work incredibly hard to get back into my character of Anna, and I'd have to do all these, incredibly difficult things, but I really don't. I mean, it's literally as simple now as sort of putting on the shoes and putting on the costume, and then she's back. And I think we all feel like that because we've worked together for 12 years now, on and off, as a team, as a cast and crew, and so we have such a shorthand with each other, and I always feel like, oh, I'm not going to be able to find the character again. And literally, as soon as I put the costume on, I'm like, oh no, she's there, she's back. Yeah, so it's sort of as simple as that. She's sort of ingrained in me now. So yeah, and she's a lovely character to revisit. So I feel very lucky.
When you're thinking about that first day of going back and seeing everybody, is there a particular cast member that you always long to see the most?
Oh, well, that would be picking favorites. I can possibly do that. But, genuinely is everybody. We all just get really giddy when we see each other. It's a bit like, kids coming back after the summer holidays from school. And I do love the big group scenes because we just have a great time, and sort of, I shouldn't say this, but I do occasionally love a big group scene where I don't have anything to say because we just laugh so much offset that it's so much fun. But I just love the energy of when we do sort of those servants' hall scenes as well, and we all sort of chiming in with a line here and a line there, and I love that sort of bouncing off each other and the energy that we all have together as our ensemble, and it's always so lovely to feel that again. So yeah, they're the bits I really look forward to as well.
Speaking of a big group scene, and we're going to publish this right at the beginning of June and give people plenty of a chance to get away from, go see the movie and not have spoilers. But one of the last scenes in the movie, there's a movie being shot at Downton Abbey, and all of the downstairs staff goes upstairs to play extras, and they get to dress up like the upstairs people.
Yes.
Tell me, that must have been a lot of fun to do that, because you've never had a chance to dress up like that on the show.
Not on this show, no. It was great fun, and Anna Robbins, our costume designer, just did, again, a brilliant job, because she designed the costumes to be a 1920s version of what their representation of a sort of 1800s Southern American costume would be like. So it's not, obviously historic. It didn't have to be historically accurate, in terms of she had more, creative expanse to kind of just really have fun with it. So yeah, it was just great fun to play those scenes. We hadn't seen each other in our costumes until we did that scene, and it was great. It was just silly and fun, and some people looked incredibly comedic. Some people looked really gorgeous. It was just, it was just all, great fun to do.
Well, there are two big storylines. One is that the movie is shooting at Downton, and that involves you and a bunch of the people that remain there at Downton. Then there's another storyline off to France. So let's talk about your storyline for a moment. When you first got the script from Julian, what were your first thoughts?
I just thought Julian and the team had really surpassed themselves on this movie, because I feel like they've really hit the right tone in terms of, it's really funny. It really made me laugh out loud. I've seen it twice now, the finished end results, and I laughed out loud throughout both viewings and cried both times, and I know what happens. So I really just feel like they'd paced it really brilliantly. It's really entertaining. It's just feels like you're getting a big warm hug, and I just feel like it's what we all could do with a little bit more of at the moment, isn't it? Some sort of positivity and escapism.
I just talked with Hugh, and I'm going to use his term, not something I would have said. I mentioned that, every time, every season or every movie, there are always new characters coming in, new actors for all of you to play with. He called them fresh meat. That was the term I was going to. So I wanted to mention, on your side of things, you have Dominic West, Laura Haddock and Hugh Dancy. He called them fresh meat because he said you all tell them wrong things and you play with them.
Hugh does. I
Oh,
don't. Hugh is very naughty.
he's the prankster and you're not.
Yeah. No, me and Phyllis call them fresh blood.
Fresh blood. Well,
Yeah,
tell me
no,
about.
we love having our fresh blood. Yeah, it's great. I mean, because it's gorgeous for us all to get back together again. And we just, like I say, have this shorthand, and it's great to just catch up with each other. But it's also really lovely to have new energy into to that mix. And Hugh Dancy and Dominic West and Laura Haddock were just all so brilliant. And just, I mean, they're such brilliant actors, the three of them anyway. And obviously just, you know, they've just done incredible work. But just all three of them, just gorgeous personalities as real people, and just slotted in perfectly. And we all had such a fun time together. And that's lovely. It's lovely to have that. And it's lovely to have that sort of fresh energy, you know, injected into what we've hopefully built over the last few years.
Is there a piece of advice, real advice, not prankster advice, that you give new people to the show?
No, I don't think we ever feel like we need to give advice, especially when you're working with such sort of seasoned actors.
Even me, not. I mean, they know how to act, they know how to be on a set, but even
but
entering
I mean,
the Downton world and what that's.
I think we just, if I happen to sort of see them first on a first day or something, I would say, honestly, it's the friendliest group of people. Everyone will love you. Everyone's like super open, friendly, nothing to worry about. Just dive in. We're all here to support each other, and that's, I feel like, you know, that's what we are. So I don't know if you'd call that advice, but it's always nice to know that when you're coming onto an established group of actors or crew.
You have some nice scenes with Laura Haddock because her character comes in very cold, very mean to everybody, and over the course of the movie, you still try to be her friend and try to help her out, and you do toward the end. What was it like you working opposite Laura?
It was great fun. Laura and I have known each other for a little while before Downton, so it was really nice to sort of have her on set as well. And me, Laura, and Sophie really enjoyed our scenes together. It was really good fun. You know, they're just gorgeous scenes to play, and you know, Anna does what she does well, which is, you know, try not to. She has her opinions of people when, you know, they're valid, but she also gives people a second chance, and she's kind, and she's not a walkover, but she can appreciate that, you know, Myrna maybe doesn't behave in the best way to start with because of her own issues and insecurities, and, you know, Anna's emotionally intelligent enough and intelligent enough to understand that and appreciate Myrna's honesty in the end.
You've had a lot of great moments with Brendan Coyle over the years, and part of this movie, he's gone to France with everybody else, and you're separated. But over the years, why does your relationship as actors work well? What do the two of you have in terms of chemistry?
Well, we love working together, genuinely. I mean, Brendan is an incredibly charismatic person when you meet him, you know, and even though Mr. Bates is a much more dour sort of character, there's this charisma about Mr. Bates that you just can't hold down because it's in Brendan, you know. So Brendan's much more gregarious and constantly cracking jokes, and, you know, he just makes me laugh out loud, but also one of the most gracious and generous actors I've worked alongside. When we have, you know, those important scenes, he's always incredibly passionate, and we always come together on the same page of wanting it to be the most authentic performances we can give, and to give them the most authentic relationship that we can. And yeah, we have fun doing it. You know, there's times when you can laugh and there's times when you can't, and it's great to work with another actor who just knows that instinctively, and we don't have to discuss things so much from very early on. We just had this shorthand where we were just on the same page with everything. So that was just really fortunate for us, and actually down to casting probably. I'll give Jill Trevellick that nod. Jill?
Another question I wanted to ask the cast from the beginning all the way to this movie: who is the most different in real life compared to their character?
I mean, we're all pretty different, but I would probably say probably Rob James Collier, because Barrow doesn't really crack any jokes. Barrow's a bit, sort of.
That's who Hugh said.
Yeah, Barrow's, he's had to hide himself away, and it's incredibly sad. And now we've seen Barrow sort of develop over the seasons that, he's able to be, or he's come to terms with who he is as a person. And although he can't sort of, be himself in society, he at least has sort of gelled together as in himself. Whereas, so Barrow's carrying a lot of emotional, heaviness about him. Whereas Rob James Collier, you cannot get, I would say, 2 sentences out of him without him making a joke. So he's literally, in terms of like the energy of the character, and he's just completely different, because Rob just is like a puppy dog and you can't stop him just making jokes constantly. Whereas Paul Barrow, he's got too much of the weight of the world on his shoulders.
One final question. As you know, we're an awards website, so I always like to close on something like that. You've been up for 3 Emmy Awards. You've won several SAG Awards as part of the ensemble. But going back in your career, what was your first big award show to attend? And do you have a favorite memory from that night?
Oh, the very first award show I attended was the BAFTAs in the UK, the television BAFTAs, probably when I was about, I think I was 19. I do remember, actually, kind of like, it was my first red carpet, and I remember walking down the red carpet and being like, oh my goodness, like, do I have, like, I don't know what to do, like, what happens? And I just kind of walked down the red carpet and no one noticed me, and I just walked all the way in. It was just like, okay, right, I'm in. But yeah, it was it was a really fun experience. But I remember it being so sort of magical and amazing that I was sort of at the BAFTAs, and I was only I wasn't even 20 at that time. So it was it was quite a dream come true at the time.
Well, Joanne, it's a wonderful movie. I hope everybody goes out and sees it. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks very much.